Welcome to the Roto Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast. Tonight, we have a little bit of a different episode. We're going to go over, we just had our home league rookie draft. So, for everyone who hasn't had one of those yet or is going to start up and is going to be seeing their first one, we'll talk about how ours went, how the board fell. It can be really hard finding rookie draft ADPs and good information on that. So I feel like it's helpful to absorb as many real life examples as you can. So to start out, what was the most surprising pick you saw over the weekend in our rookie draft?
Most surprising thing to me was how Kenny Walker fell. Kenny Walker to me was a top, I'd say 3 or 4 guy. You know, he's not going to play much this year, but after that, he's the dude. And it just surprised me because I kind of had him pinned in the 3, 4, 5 range as where he should go, and I believe he fell all the way down to 8 or 9, 7. Yeah, I saw Sky Moore go before him. I saw Dotson didn't Dotson go before him?
No, it was Hall, London, Burks, Wilson, Moore, Pickett, and then Walker.
Yeah, Sky Moore was kind of a reach right there. I felt like, which the biggest thing I got to say about dynasty drafts, especially rookie drafts, is you got to draft value. I'm a big believer in drafting value, even if it's not a position of need, and figuring that out later. Luckily, in my case, what I needed fell right in my lap. Win-win. But yeah, there was some real interesting things that happened in that draft. I mean, there was a lot of trades, so I think most of the first round was like half the league. Because everybody either traded out or there was a guy that had 3 first-round picks for some reason. This isn't really the draft I would want to do that in, but, you never know.
Yeah, for me, I don't know if I think Kenneth Walker should have went before Sky Moore. I'm not sold on the player. I like James Cook better personally, especially in a NFL where receiving work by running backs matters more and more and more with every back getting into a committee. I'm surprised Dameon Pierce went the first round. I don't think Pierce is a first-round guy. I think it's a pretty clear cut. He has a very, very, very legitimate chance of getting a good workload this year. Past that, yeah. I'm not sure how sustainable it is. I could see Houston going after a high upside running back like Bijan Robinson next year. There's like 6 guys next year coming out that are really high upside running backs. I just don't see it.
My thing with Pierce was he a first round talent? No. And here's what we got to get away from. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire taught you nothing, landing spot should not be a reason to reach for somebody because we all saw it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was number 1 overall in rookie drafts over Jonathan Taylor. And man, was that a fucking mistake. And everybody just thought, man, he fell into a good situation, blah, blah, blah. And Jonathan Taylor was clearly the better running back, but everybody prioritized landing spot. And I feel like that is a mistake that hopefully we all learned from and moved on. Dameon Pierce, I'm a Texans fan. I watch the tape. I love the guy. And I think he will get a big workload. My concern, especially in a dynasty league, is he's one of those big bruiser backs. And we all know those don't really last very long. And that would be if you took him at the end of the second, I'm okay. But this guy took him at the 111. And I don't love it.
Not at all. So, I think it's a fun little exercise to go through and talk about where we picked, why we picked who we picked. I'll start. I was originally supposed to have the 101 traded out of it. I traded Adam Thielen and Kareem Hunt for the 108 and the 208 morning of the draft. So 108, James Cook fell to me. We just talked about that first 7 with Walker being the 7th. for me, right there in a shitty draft class, on a team where I'm very comfortable at my receiver spot, I'm not too worried about that. James Cook is a high upside play. Is he going to get 15 plus carries a game with a lot of goal line work? No. He's gonna. I'm banking on him to be more in the mold of an Eckler / Swift, where it's 5, 6, 7, 8 targets a game, 10 carries, whatever. Do you want more? Yeah. Do you care? No. He's the most explosive back they have. He's really good at pass protection. I don't think he's a 3-down back, but I think he's like a 2.5-down back. In today's NFL, the 108, I take that, especially tied to such a good offense. So that was my first round pick. Caden, you had to the 110, Jameson Williams, and the 112, George Pickens. What was your thinking with both the receivers?
So I didn't initially at 110, I thought I was going to be able to get James Cook. You hopped in, you hoed me on that one. That's fine. I understand. I mean, truthfully, I think James Cook, he's either a boom or bust type of guy. And it's going to be really good either way. Now, the narrative right after the draft came out that they want Josh Allen to run less. So James Cook, stocks up on that one. So, yeah, originally I was thinking I was going to get James Cook. My weakest position is probably receiver and quarterback on my team. I thought there was no fucking chance in hell that Jameson Williams would fall at 110. And I remember I was watching the clock, 109, and there was Olave and Williams, and I was like, I hope this motherfucker takes Olave. And he did, and it fell, and I clicked that button faster than 110, Jameson Williams, I think he is the most talented receiver in that class. Landing spot's not great, but you've got to imagine he's not a guy I'm going to rely on to start week 1. He's just not. He's a guy I'm going to stash, wait for that ACL to heal, maybe even really wait until they figure out their quarterback situation. But, the value there at 110 was amazing. Fast forward to the 112, I took George Pickens. I do believe he was the best player on the board, but I also really loved grabbing that pick just to fuck with the guy in our league because I know he's got a big Steelers boner. That was one that the value was just about right on, but it's a pocket play for later on. And I know once he starts gaining traction, say Deontay holds out, he gets a good workload, I'm going to be able to bend this dude over for him. And that played a factor.
that gets booked under the Know Your League Mates tab. So 208, I really got another pick, I guess, too in this draft, but my last initial pick I thought for the day, Wan'Dale Robinson. This was a steal at the 208, and I'm a huge Wan'Dale Robinson guy. I know you think it's just Twitter fodder. It is very much not. I have a couple more. The guy has one of the best analytical receiver profiles we've seen. He's 5'8", so is he an outlier? Maybe. Jameson Williams is a weight outlier in the same fucking way Wan'Dale is a height outlier. So if you're going to say that Wan'Dale is an outlier due to his height, then Jameson Williams is an outlier due to his weight, and that's going to be a potential problem. Daniel Jones loves his short targets. I'm all in on Wan'Dale. Not to say that he's going to be like the best receiver in the class or anything, but when he's it looks like 10th, 11th, 12th guy off the board, I'm eating that up. I would have taken him anywhere after the 202, honestly. Looking at it, I like him better than all the guys drafted after the 202. So yeah, pretty high on Wan'Dale. I traded Hunt and Thielen for those 2 picks and to come out of it with Cook and Robinson. That was actually exactly, I'm sure you knew it when you saw it, exactly what I wanted to have happen. That's literally that was my plan going into it.
So I don't disagree the value was good at 208. Here's my concern. Really small dude. And I know we're talking inches, but I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad receiver, but I think fantasy Twitter has a little bit too big of a boner for him. I mean, I texted you earlier and I said, you remember when Zach Moss was a thing? Because they really wanted to make that. They tried to speak that one into existence way too hard. If you watch fantasy NFL Twitter, it's a little volatile. Some of these people, I mean,
You remember
I love
Visca season?
huh?
LaVisca Chenault season last year.
Yeah,
Brian
I
Edwards. There's
remember
a
that
couple.
too.
I do think Wandale's in a different situation. I don't think he's. I don't see the fantasy Twitter hype quite as much, but maybe it's because we have different fantasy Twitter feeds.
Yeah,
I always see people shit on him.
Visca Chenault was a thing. Zach Moss was a thing. I remember last year, I had a guy comment on that post that I posted about Jameson Williams at the 110, and he said someone traded the 104 and next year's first for Jameson Williams, or to take Jameson Williams at the 104. So 2 first rounds for a Jameson Williams at 104. And yeah, so it really just depends on your league. I told everybody that I knew Sky Moore was going to go way too high. He did. I knew.
Yeah, I was a little salty about that. I would have picked him if he fell to me, if I'm being real honest with you. And that didn't work out.
Justin Ross got drafted in our league.
I can't believe it. Cannot believe it.
And, I mean, for me, I only had 3 picks, and 311 seemed a little high for me. That was my last pick, was 311.
Wait, you grab Sam Howell?
I grabbed Sam Howell. He fell. So our league, we had 1 quarterback go in the first round, and then Ritter, Willis in the second round, and Howell.
Corral in the second too.
Really? I didn't realize that.
Yep, Corral 210.
I love the value on Sam Howell in the third round because, I mean, it might be 2 years, but we know he might be a year away, 2 years away. I don't know. Carson Wentz is not going to be the long-term answer. He's not. He's pretty notorious for sucking pretty bad, and to be honest with you, they don't have the run game Indy did. So I think Carson Wentz is going to get exposed a lot faster in Washington than he did in Indy. So I'll take that pick. Really at that point, I was real close to having what's his name, Zamir White, the Raiders running back. I wanted some of that. I wanted that bad, but got picked a couple picks before me, and I was, Sam Howell, I just kept watching him drop, and I'm like, you know what? Take the dart throw. I'm a little weak at quarterback at the moment. I just knew this wasn't the draft to invest high, so I didn't, and I'm just ready to ride it out. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of out off the wall picks, man. I mean, some of our league mates are interesting people. Chiefs fans, a lot of them. So all those guys, the fucking running back that they drafted in like the 6th round got drafted in like the 3rd round, I think, in our league. So yeah, knowing your league mates is important because you can really benefit from that.
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. It was like I every year I do the same thing. Regardless of position need, I'm taking the best guy available, in my opinion. Now, that might not always match up with the rankings, but, last year, what I picked, 107?
Uh-huh.
And I had Kyle Pitts fall to me at 7. I was completely fucking fine at tight end, but I took him anyway because you can't not take him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, yeah, my last pick, I had the 405. I traded like Cedric Wilson and Gus Edwards for Melvin Gordon in the 405. I hoped Romeo Doubs would fall to me because I'm a legitimate Romeo Doubs believer. I think he's going to be a really good player. He gets picked 3 picks ahead of me, so that's fun. I have Javonte, so getting the handcuff was nice. But I grabbed Velus Jones. I felt like that was pretty good value. He'll play right away, like 25. So, all in all, I feel like, yeah, my takeaway, like you said, and it'll be like this in a lot of people's leagues, is that especially, I mean, even in redraft leagues, you don't know how the board's going to fall. But in rookie drafts, you have no clue. In this draft, after the 106, yeah, it's a toss-up. It's a true toss-up.
And it all just depends on. I mean, you got to think of dynasty like the real NFL. People value players differently. You can't go in my opinion, you can't go in beating the board for one particular player. Now I'm not gonna lie, I had a James Cook little half chub going on. I was ready to make that pick at 10. But in reality, I just really felt like Jameson Williams was going to be gone. Should have been gone. But, really solidified some things for me. Like, I feel like, I mean, my rookie receivers rarely produce at a high level. Jamar Chase, he was kind of an oddity, but next year, I'm not this coming season, but next season, I feel like I'll be pretty loaded up at receiver if a trade doesn't happen. Our league is very, very active with trades, and I love it. But it's also fucking kind of crazy to follow sometimes. Like, you motherfuckers will be up at 3:00 in the morning making 17-player deals, and I got to wake up to that shit. And I'm like, what the fuck happened?
I will admit I'm one of the notorious traders. However, I feel like all my deals make sense, at least. Like, you look at them, you're like, okay, like, I see why he did that. We had one the other day where it was literally like DeAndre Hopkins in a second for A.J. Dillon, Devontae Parker in a first, and then literally 15 filler players who are never going to start. You could just tell these two are going back and forth on players of menial value just to do it. And it makes it fun. It keeps the league fresh, and it also helps buy-ins get paid because people are trying to move picks. So it's advantageous from a commissioner standpoint, but you're also just like, wow, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Our dynasty league, and this is my personal first dynasty league, and I watched a lot of videos because I didn't really know how to set it up, how to make it as little of a pain in the ass possible. And I'll tell you, I watched one video where they were like, okay, you pay the buy-in. Whatever it is, ours is $50 in this particular league. I'd like to up it at some point. But as soon as to trade a future year pick, they have to pay that buy-in. And that has really helped, like, with retention. It has helped with, because every fantasy football commissioner knows it's all fun and games until you got to be that guy in somebody's DMs like, hey, you going to pay that? Or, so, going into this year, half the league was already paid. That's fucking great. I don't really have to chase anybody down. I don't have to, send shitty messages. I didn't have to replace anybody in this league this year, which I've done a lot of fantasy leagues where there's a lot of turning pieces. This person had a shitty year, fucked their team up, and now they want out. But yeah, that was a big thing for us. And honestly, it's all fun, man. I mean, there's a couple people who say dumb shit, but I feel like that's in every fantasy league. But yeah, I'm locked in, man. I'm ready to go. I really need a quarterback, but
so would you rather draft David Bell, Mechie, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Alec Pierce?
I'm gonna go with the curveball. I'm kind of liking Alec Pierce. I'm an Alex Pierce guy.
So those guys were the four. So those guys were drafted 10, wide receiver 10, 11, 12, 13, all within 6 spots. I think, I like Pierce too. I see how he develops into a deep threat, a field stretcher out there. They don't have that. They haven't had that type of receiver in a long time. I mean, T.Y. Hilton, but he's different. Alec Pierce is your just tall field stretcher, Chase Claypool mold. I'd probably go. It's Homer to go Wandale, so I'm going to take his name out of this for me. I'd probably go David Bell. I like David Bell. He was someone who, he's goddamn slow, but reliable hands, catches, he's real physical, catches everything. Like, I like him as a receiver. In Cleveland, they're trying to throw him in the slot and let him work. Do you think that Desmond Ridder or Malik Willis, if there's any argument for them to go in the first round of rookie drafts?
That they would?
Is there an argument to justify them going in the first round of a rookie draft?
I think there is if it's a super flex league. And if, I could see some people, like I said, I draft based on value alone. But a lot of people will be like, oh, my God, I really need this or I really need this. And quarterback in a super flex league, I mean, here's the truth. You have 12 teams that start 2, right? That's 24. I always like to have a third, if at all humanly possible. So you're talking about 36 quarterbacks that need to be rostered at minimum. That leaves 4 teams without a third starting quarterback if everything works good. And really more likely you're looking at 5 or 6 teams that probably don't have that third starting quarterback, because last year I was fucking one of those guys. I was starting a tight end in the flex. Bye weeks really fucked me. I somehow limped into the playoffs, got lucky a couple times, ended up in the championship, and lost. And I truthfully believe I probably fucking lost because I didn't have an adequate quarterback to start in that super flex spot. Had I had just a middle of the pack fucking quarterback, I think I might have won that. So yes, I think they could go. Here's my problem with both of them. Malik Willis, I was close at the 112 to taking Ridder. It was between Ridder and Pickens, and I made the call to go for the value, but I thought about Ridder, and Ridder's got a better opportunity to start quicker. I kind of just really like the guy's swag. He's one of those go out and get it, like I'm not going to be denied type of guys. Nothing's handed to you. I do like Desmond Ridder. Do I think Malik Willis has the potential to be the better fantasy quarterback? Absolutely. But, man, I don't – and I know it's just a headline, but, man, when Tannehill was like, it's not my fucking job to develop him, I think he's getting into a doom situation really quickly. And small stuff like that kind of just sticks in my head for whatever reason, because you get these young guys in these quarterback positions, and if they're not, if everything doesn't go right, they may never see the field. Just kind of the way it goes, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
I want Malik Willis to be a thing because he kind of reminds me of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a great fantasy quarterback. Is he a great NFL quarterback? Not really.
No. Malik Willis, if he plays, he'll be a top 12 quarterback off of rushing value alone. That's just how that works. But honestly, I don't think, regardless, I think I'd rather draft 14 or 15 guys over both of them. Third-round quarterbacks just don't have a good hit rate. First-round quarterbacks don't have a good hit rate. So third-round quarterbacks, for damn sure. All right, this is the last thing I have. Super, super deep sleepers. Taxi squad guy. Favorite taxi squad guy out of this draft.
Oh, man.
It can be one you didn't even get either. Just favorite guy for taxi squads.
So one that I got that I do like, Isaiah Likely. He was the second tight end they took, and he's going to be probably third on the depth chart. But here's what I'm saying. Third tight end on the depth chart in Baltimore, that's almost as good as the second receiver. They are so fucking
They're just
great.
going to play 3 tight ends the whole game.
They might. Shit. What else are you going to do? Because who's their second best receiver?
You split Mark Andrews out wide, let the two rookie tight ends play in line, and then
Damn right. You got to do what you got to do. One guy that got drafted that I really had my eye on for tight end, what's his name? Jelani Woods.
Oh, I was pissed. He went before me too. I was gonna grab him.
That guy is a physical fucking freak. I watched his combine shit. He's like 6'7", runs routes like a receiver. He's everything we wanted Mo Alley Cox to be and more. And I would have loved to grab that. I have absolutely zero fucking need for it, but man, like I think that one could blow. What was another one that I really liked? Taxi Squad. I mean, my whole rookie draft's on my Taxi Squad right now, but there was one more, and I can't remember his fucking name. You know, I thought about Carson Strong for a minute too.
I like that one. Yeah, he's a good player, but his knee must be fucked. If no one grabbed him, his knee has to be fucked.
Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of the thing. Like Justin Ross, you can't tell me his physical ability alone wouldn't have got him drafted. There's got to be something deeper. You know what I mean? Like, because I remember Justin Ross potentially being like a top 5 guy at one point. Because I'm that fucking idiot that goes and reads mock drafts for 23, years ahead of time. And he was a guy that they were kind of, thinking would be a top 5 guy. So I don't know how fucked he is medically if he went undrafted.
Yeah. One of my favorites, I feel like tight end is the best position for the Taxi Squad thing. Because I feel pretty comfortable in my quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. I'm not going to Taxi Squad a quarterback unless I just don't need him. Jalen Widermeer, though, was a guy who, going into the college football season, was viewed as the top tight end in the class. He went to A&M, and I remember even up to the end of the college football season, he was like a late second-round pick projection. Like him and McBride were the top 2-ish, roughly, tight ends, and then he ran like a 5.07 at the combine, which he looks way faster than that on film. It just tanked his value. Anyways, he signed in Buffalo. Dawson Knox isn't that good. I see, it's not going to be this year, probably not going to be next year, but in 3 years, maybe Widermeer is their guy. Ruckert's another one. Ruckert didn't get drafted a lot with the Jets. Played at Ohio State, was okay. He's not necessarily the greatest tight end ever, but in a position where he's got to catch a lot of touchdowns, he could be serviceable.
Really, and as deep, we have 25 or 27 man rosters in our league. And as deep as our league, dude, I wish, as soon as we get a little more technologically advanced, I would love to pull up the waiver wire and just show you how picked fucking clean it is. Right now it might be a little more popping because everybody had to get their rosters right, drop people. So there might be a little more.
So we'll pull it up.
Our waiver wire is literally, you're like, holy fucking shit. I got the 4th running back for the Eagles, and I'm fucking pumped about it. I don't know his name. I don't even think he suits up on Sunday, but goddamn it, I got it.
So right now, the top guys, Antonio Brown, Isaiah McKenzie, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook.
Way fucking better than normal.
Crochet, yeah. Just shit. Yeah. In a deep league like this, any value is good value. Do you have anything else we want to finish up with?
Oh, I got one you're gonna love. I don't know if you saw this. Your boy, Pete Carroll, was on record at an interview saying Drew Lock would have been the first quarterback picked in this draft, and they feel more confident with him than anybody. What's your take on that one?
That is a bold-faced lie. Yeah, I saw him say that, and I was just not sure. I was just like, that's how we're feeling today. Because, like, Drew Lock sucks, man. Drew Lock sucks. Kenny Pickett's a good quarterback. I like Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett would have been over Lock. I think Pickett's he's like Kirk Cousins. He's not going to be great, but he'll start a bunch of years and put up some good stats. So, yeah, it's fucking stupid. I did see that.
I was like, okay, so where do we? How do I absorb this? I'm like, has he just gone full blown senile? Is that like a big pat on the back for Drew Lock, or is that like a big fuck you to the draft class? Like, man, that could go so many different ways. And I was reading it and I was like, I can't believe Pete Carroll said that. But then the more I thought about it, I can believe Pete Carroll said that because he says a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah. I can't believe he said that still anyways. That's pretty bad. How bad where do DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett rank at the end of the year in fantasy production? Do either of them break top 25 status?
No. Well, maybe DK Metcalf. Maybe. I've got in my head I see him as a low end wide receiver too. Me personally, I would try to buy low on Metcalf, and just for the fact that hopefully he gets traded, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, freak athlete, hell of a player. I would buy low on Metcalf if possible, but someone's not going to do that. Lockett, I've got him wide receiver 3 range because just his skill set does not match up with what Drew Lock's going to do. I don't love any part of the offense except for the run game right now. Because Noah Fant, I think I've got him ranked in my mind just about where he was last year because Drew Lock's still not going to look at it. Just because they're in a goddamn different zip code doesn't mean he's going to look at him now.
No, yeah, I have Metcalf as an attractive buy low, and Lockett, he might be like a top 40 wide receiver. All right, last one. I might have left off a name. I just picked up Mo Alley-Cox, dropped Foster Moreau. He was on the waiver wire. He shouldn't have been on the waiver wire. Mo Alley-Cox might be a legit top 7 fantasy option this year. He might be a fucking bust though too. I don't know, but all righty, guys. I think that's it. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks. It's about time to start doing draft prep. So we'll get into that mode. It's about time for redraft season. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night.